Uh, Hello, everyone, and I'm back. I know it's been like a year or more, uh, but I was busy. I used to have to use a digital camera. Now I have a MacBook, got a webcam, so hopefully it'll be easier this time around. Now, the reason I'm back is that the U.S. financial crisis is perhaps the single most important issue in the history of the United States. Next year, the deficit is going to increase to $700 billion at the minimum, and it could go as high or higher than $1 trillion. And that is without any of the new spending, deficit spending from the presidential candidates, or the backlash from our bailout efforts. All of that hasn't really been taken into account, so it's going to be huge next year. Now, looking at $1 trillion deficit, that's 9% of the national debt, and I have to worry about our economic future. Deficit spending by the government causes a phenomenon called what's it called? Crowding out. That's it. Crowding out. Remember that from macroeconomics, Peter Jones. Yay, great teacher. Anyway, crowding out basically means that private companies don't have money to invest. Or less money to invest. Now, investment is the basis for economic growth. Investment is the creation of capital, which is the nature of things. It creates other stuff. Without capital, you can't have growth. Capital is the engine of growth, that and entrepreneurship, all those stuff and things. And basically, the deficit is mortgaging our collective economic futures for short-term gains. Now, it's not just the deficit that is a problem. We are pumping trillions of dollars into banks and companies and individuals in order to try and prop up our economy and keep it from collapsing, basically. And all of the money that we're using for this isn't coming through taxes. It's not actually being paid for. It's being borrowed or printed. Now, borrowing money causes crowding out and decreases our growth rate, damaging our future economically and hurting everybody. Inflation damages individuals, debtors, basically the entire United States of America, in return for benefiting all of the loan people. Some banks, although a lot of banks are leveraged out of control and they have a lot of debt, so it's not so great. But foreign investors, all of them, will benefit from a massive case of inflation in the United States, whereas we're going to be screwed, basically. Now, with such now the next president is going to have to face high inflation and high unemployment, and that is a recipe for economic disaster. I mean, he's going to have the toughest time of any president in trying to resist the temptation to try and manage the market, to try and control things, to try and basically seize control of the entire economy. And I don't know if either candidate is even up to that. Perhaps John McCain, but he probably won't be elected, so it'll probably be Barack Obama. I highly doubt that Obama would hesitate in perhaps nationalizing the banks if none of our bailout measures do anything, or having massive public works programs and things like that in order to try and decrease unemployment, all those things, which is inflationary, all sorts of problems. So I don't think we're going to be able to avoid it. We're going to have a massive increase in the size of government, and it's basically inevitable. Now, in terms of what the actual government should do, it shouldn't try to jumpstart the economy or keep it shambling along. It needs to just let it collapse. Stand back and say, go do your thing. If a bank collapses, well, then that sucks. But it has to collapse. The government interventions from the past 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years have built up a massive amount of garbage. Bad investments, bad economic structures, bad ways of doing things that have been propped up by government interference in all sorts of sectors of the economy, and it's all starting to catch up with us. You don't, if your attacker, if someone hits you with a rock, you don't then say, hey, save my life, to fix the damage you caused. That's stupid. You call a doctor, which in the case of the economy would be economists, and investors and entrepreneurs and say, you help me. And then you put the bad people, namely the government, in jail, lock it up, and throw away the key. It's really sad that so many people are tempted to scream for the government to help them, when in fact all they're doing is crying for more pain, suffering, and potential slavery for their kids and even themselves. Now, I'm going to end this with one of my favorite quotes. It's from Patrick Henry. Everybody knows it. It's almost cliched. But, okay, no, actually, it is a cliche. Massively cliched. But it's almost cliched enough to have meaning again, so I'm going to use it. Basically, it's just, give me liberty or give me death. Now, I think every American needs to embrace that sentiment. And, well, I'll see you next time.